It's shaped like a trumpet and smells like liquorish. That's the trumpet oyster mushroom, of course. Why does this mushroom smell like licorice? It really does. And that is just one of the fun facts that I'm going to be covering today. Look, it's our special guest, the trumpet oyster. Oh my gosh, isn't he so cute? Today we're going to be learning why this specific mushroom, the trumpet oyster, is different from other types of mushrooms. What makes this guy really stand out? And that's what I like to do on this channel. My name is Holly. I make mushroom art with the brand Susrooms. I am a mushroom enthusiast. I literally have my own mushroom art all over my body. Yeah, basically I make mushroom videos, and if you want to learn more about mushrooms or watch my videos, you can totally subscribe, or you can join my mushroom club where I send off mushroom trading cards. That's another thing I do, is I make mushroom trading cards. And I have made one for this mushroom. If you would like it, you can totally buy it on my shop, or you can join my mushroom club and I'll be sending them off every single month as I make them. But without further ado, let's learn more about this trumpet oyster mushroom. What makes this guy smell like licorice is what I want to know. Scientifically, he goes by Pleurotus cornucopiae and seems to be the fashionista of the Pleurosaceae family. Hopefully I said that right. I feel like this is a new family I haven't covered yet. He sports the iconic funnel-shaped cap, and it kind of just gives him a trumpet look. Do every single one of the mushrooms look like a trumpet? I don't think so, but I do think that they have this resembling funnel factor with the cap. He only stands about 4 to 6 inches tall, and some would call this, average height. So, big is it small, it's average. He's average. The best way to identify this mushroom is definitely by that funnel shape, and the gills actually just don't know where to stop. They go all the way down. Talk about a guy who knows how to extend his wardrobe. I also noticed that this mushroom doesn't really like to grow alone. He grows in a pack. As he ages, he blushes a subtle yellow, especially whenever being handled or exposed to the elements. Hey, growing old isn't easy, even if you have a mushroom to grow. Although this mushroom is also a yellow creamish color, the spore print is a white or lilac color, which is super cool, the difference in colors. Around the forest, a lot of his friends call him the branched oyster mushroom, and let me tell you, this mushroom is in somewhat of a hurry. Oysters are famous for their massive growth spurts, and he is no exception, sprouting up out of nowhere and somehow disappearing very quickly as well. But this mushroom doesn't really need anything flashy to get your attention to correctly identify him. In fact, if you just lean in and smell this mushroom, the way that it smells will give everything away. It has a licorice scent. He was officially introduced into the scientific community in 1796 by the legendary mycologist Christian Hendrix Persoon, which if you haven't seen my latest video on the first mycologist, you can click that here. And I thought that was really cool. I just geeked out on that. But this mushroom has been around for a while, and it continues to awe people everywhere. Is this mushroom poisonous, or is it edible? I think if you know anything about the mushroom community, you would know that this is an edible mushroom. And not just edible, but highly praised for how delicious it is. Although this mushroom is edible, there are a lot of mushrooms that look very similar, especially in that pale white color. Death caps, I'm looking at you. But this mushroom isn't just safe, he's a little doctor. He comes packed with antioxidants that actively fight off stress. And just overall, this mushroom keeps things really healthy for the human body. He's delicious, he's nutritious, and he's fighting hard to keep your immune system doing well. You'll typically spot this mushroom vacationing across Europe, Asia, and the Northern Hemisphere. He's a dedicated saprobic character in the forest, meaning that this mushroom likes to decompose dead things, which is just a fancy way of saying he's a great cleanup crew for the forest. His favorite pastime is moving to dubious forests, especially hanging around a bunch of oak trees where he sets up camp directly on decaying stumps, and also fallen hardwood trees. He takes his job very seriously, breaking down enzymes, forest floor litter, and recycling it all back into the earth. He's a summer and autumn baby, making his grand appearance from May to November. But you have to be pretty quick to forage this mushroom for yourself. Like I said, he's kind of fast. His entire lifespan above the ground is only a couple of weeks max. In this time period, he will release millions of spores into the air to hopefully repopulate more trumpet oyster mushrooms. Also, the way to release spores is just to tap the mushrooms. So cute. Because he belongs to a pretty famous family, there is quite a few mushrooms that actually shop at the same clothing store as he does, aka a lot of lookalikes. The first close relative is the pearl oyster mushroom. You can tell her apart from the oyster mushroom because she kind of sports a tan grayish cap. She has bright white gills that kind of tell her apart as well. The biggest difference between the pearl oyster mushroom and the oyster mushroom is definitely the color of the cap. And although this mushroom is edible, it is good to know the difference between the two just in case you're looking for a certain type of mushroom. I feel like she's decently easy to tell apart, but what do you think? And then there is the Indian oyster mushroom. This mushroom has a cream or pale tan color for the cap and crowded white gills. And although this mushroom is also considered an edible mushroom, and a choice one at that, it is still good to know the differences. But watch out! There is another mushroom that is actually toxic. There is a sketchy imposter lurking in the grass, a similar lookalike to the oyster mushroom that's not so friendly as his other cousins. This is the Ivory Funnel mushroom. Unlike our tree-loving hero, this mushroom is toxic. This mushroom really likes to hang out in lawns and doesn't really prefer the forest as much. This is a great way to identify this mushroom apart from our trumpet oyster. This imposter really likes the grass. Who knew? Although this mushroom looks similar, its taste is not. And you definitely do not want to be eating this mushroom. So yeah, that's the best way to identify, figuring out where you're getting your mushroom from. Is it in the forest? Or is it on the grass? If you're looking for the trumpet oyster in Europe, you're in luck. He's pretty common. You can find it wild and free in the forest, or you can cultivate it yourself. This is one of those mushrooms you can grow at home. Similar to the pink oyster mushroom, which I did a video about if you want to watch that, it's also a very good home grower. So like throwing in all your compost, it'll eat it and then you have a mushroom to eat yourself. This mushroom is highly known by chefs and actually goes for a lot of money. A lot of money for the mushroom, depending on where you are and who you're selling it to, of course. But yeah, it's kind of a big prized mushroom. Now that we have talked about some of the dangerous lookalikes or just the friendly cousins, we are now going to be entering into the game section. The goal is to pick which one is the trumpet oyster between the two pictures. I show all of the answers right after the questions so you know which ones are which. Without further ado, let's get into the game, and I will see you after. Hello and welcome back. How many did you get right and how many did you get wrong? But if you got all of those answers right, then you are ready for the Trumpet Oyster trading card. If you would like to see how I made this trading card from start to finish, I have an entire behind the scenes video. The next time you're wandering through the forest and see a mushroom that looks a little bit like a trumpet, then that's probably what it is. This has been the deep dive on the trumpet oyster mushroom. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this video and if you've ever seen a trumpet oyster for yourself or grow them at home. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you for sticking around to the end, and I will see you in the next one. All right, bye! He's delicious, he's nutritious. Talk about a mushroom with a heart of gold.